Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to bring a message for the chosen. If you find this resonates with you in any way, please be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know how it resonates with your circumstance. So, chosen, I have to talk to you all. And this message, truth be told, I might end up with a few of you being a little bit disappointed by the time it's all said and done, but I'm hoping that it will at least ignite something within you to help you to see things from a different perspective. Now, one of the common things that I hear from a lot of people in terms of bringing your visions into fruition is that it's not that you are depleted or absent of creative ideas. It's not that you don't have visions. It's not that you don't have goals. The major factor is typically you don't have the financial resources to support that particular vision. And I am completely understanding of that angle. Do I believe it? Not anymore. Do I know that that is not truthful? Absolutely. Many of you have followed me on my journey, and you know that it was not that long ago that I was living in a hotel room with myself and 5 of my children, one bed, for almost 2 years with no income. At least not based on societal standards. Okay? Wasn't working a job, getting a paycheck. So with that being said, in that moment of what I would consider my lowest point, at least financially, I came to realize something. I came to realize that what society has told us wealth really is the complete opposite of what wealth truly is. A lot of people will say, well, money doesn't grow on trees. But I come back and say, money is trees. Fiat is trees. It's paper, isn't it? So it does grow on trees. And there's no shortage of trees. Even though they want you to believe that we're running out of trees, we're not even covering 50% of this globe. We have plenty of trees. So because we have plenty of trees, then we have plenty of fiat to go around. There is no shortage. Everybody on the planet can get it and do quite well. Everybody. So with that being said, everything begins with perception. Everything begins with perception. This is why getting out into nature is so vital in the process of getting in aligned with your inheritance, your generational wealth. Getting out into nature is a mandatory prerequisite. Because if you're disconnected from nature, then you will easily take on that mindset of, but there's not enough resources. Really look into the definition of resources. Resource means to rise again. That's what resource means, to rise again. So it's like a recycling effect. Okay? It's no different than when the trees are in full bloom, which is really interesting because source actually means spring. So all of it comes together when you connect it to nature itself and being, mindful of nature, purposeful in your connection to nature. Resource means to rise again. Source means to spring up. So when we're thinking about even the shift in seasons, all of this reminds you that there is no shortage of resources. Because the springtime, well, let's just say fall, right? When you're in the season of fall, which is what we're entering into right now, some would say we are there, right? Fall season is here. The leaves are changing colors. They're going to turn brown and they're going to get, hardened. They're going to lose their vibrancy and they're going to fall to the ground. So now we have the earth is full of leaves, right? Those leaves are going to recycle themselves. They're going to decompose and they're going to turn into fertilizer for the soil in preparation for the coming spring next year, which is the source, the resources spring forward and they rise again. There's always a recycling of resources. And so even if the powers that were have fooled you into believing, oh, there's a shortage over here, the government is on a budget, we can't afford XYZ, to hell with them. This ain't about them. This is about you in your world. What does your world look like? Is the sources that you need readily accessible to you once you shift how you view wealth, once you shift how you view riches? You don't want to put it strictly on the fiat because, as you know, we are evolving beings, right? And as the powers that were lose their position, eventually the fiat as we know it today will no longer be relevant because we'll no longer give that type of, we will no longer place value on their currency. We create a different type of energy, a different type of frequency, a different type of currency. And so it's very important. Don't put the value in the fiat directly. See the value in the source. What is the source of that fiat? Where did it come from? It came from nature. And so when you connect with nature and you start to recognize that, wow, it keeps giving. There's this cycle of life that just keeps repeating itself and it's never ending. That's reminding me that there's always plentiful. There's always a resurgence of energy. And I just have to get in alignment with the cycles of life and recognize that the earth is always giving birth to more resources. So once I shift my perception of what wealth really looks like, then I'll begin to recognize that there is plenty of wealth all around me and within me, right here at my disposal, right at my fingertips. You will vibrate the frequency of wealth because now you shifted your perception of wealth. And so because you've shifted your perception of wealth, you will then begin to attract it. Now it comes to you easily. And no longer will you sit in that thought of, well, I have this grand idea, but I don't have the money to back it. You won't even think about that part. That part is obsolete because you know that the resources are always being given birth to. It is always plentiful. So even if you look at it as, okay, well, in this season, I don't have access to it, but I do know that there's a cultivation that's taken place. I do know that the seed has been planted through my thoughts. And all I have to do is take persistent and consistent action towards this vision, even if I don't have the fiat to present at this stage in the game. I know that I am on the right frequency to eventually bring this vision to life because I am taking every other measure that I can take in order to get closer to the vision. So every other measure could literally look like doing the research, networking, perfecting your skill, practicing, of course, doing the spiritual work to align your energy, burning and releasing, lighting your candles. All of these things matter. And when I say they matter, I mean that twofold. It means everything to the vision, but it also matters in a way where it materializes in a tangible existence. It presents itself where you can now see, feel, and touch that vision, and is no longer out of reach due to a past misperception of a lack of resources. That no longer becomes a factor. And that was one thing. I'm not speaking, people, the one thing that I love about this journey that I have been on is that I don't speak from a space of, I've never been there. I'm speaking from a space, I'm fresh out. I'm fresh out, y'all. I ain't fresh out of prison, but I'm damn sure fresh out of the Matrix prison. It hasn't been that long, but I knew that in order for me to shift my physical experience in this 3D plane, I had to definitely go in and do a whole lot of decluttering, clearing out, and shifting my perception of certain things. Money does grow on trees, y'all. Money does grow on trees. And when you have a relationship with the trees, then you begin to recognize that money must come to you. You know why? It must come to me because I have a good relationship with the trees that actually makes it possible for that fiat to exist. And so because the trees are some of my best friends, right? Because we have a truly loving relationship and there's a real energetic exchange, there's a true acknowledgement of their essence and of their presence and what the earth gives birth to. Therefore, anything that is created by this earth that is recycled or translated into what we call money or currency or fiat today, it must come to me. It must come to me. That is the type of relationship that you must have when you are thinking about these types of things when it comes to wealth and bringing your visions to life. If you have not been able to see things from that perspective, then you're going to constantly downplay it and say, well, only people that are able to pursue their visions are the ones that got the money to back it. And that's going to keep it further and further away from you. It's going to keep it out of your reach because you don't realize it's as close as stepping into your backyard, planting your feet in the grass, picking some flowers, hugging some trees. And of course, I'm not saying it's not going to take practical effort. Of course, that comes with it. The more you get aligned with nature, the more you realize that action is needed in order for growth to happen. It doesn't put you in this docile, submissive position where you're just waiting, just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, just waiting for that check to come in the mail that says $1 million. No. When you are connected and have a relationship with nature and you truly observe it, then you begin to realize that there is effort that is needed, but it's not the type of effort that feels like work. It's the type of effort that is effortless in a way where it just happens naturally. You naturally flow with putting forth the necessary measures to bring your vision to life because you recognize that life is a process. Anything that is to be given birth to first starts with a thought. Then it starts with an emotion, then an action, and then there's a nurturing, a cultivation that must take place in order for that thing to grow into something great. And you must continue to nurture that thing if you want to give it longevity. So this effort becomes effortless. It becomes a natural rhythm for you. You just go with the rhythm of life, the rhythm of nature. And so you recognize at that point that even in the dead of winter, when everything is being put to rest and you don't really see much life, the trees, there's not that glow, the sun shines less, you still recognize that cultivation is happening because this is a necessary process of killing off all of those things that could be detrimental to growth. So you go with the flow of that. You go with the flow of that season where you're not necessarily seeing forward movement and things feel frozen. You actually embrace that because you know that after that season strongly indicates that growth is getting ready to happen very, very soon. That season of winter indicates that spring is around the corner. And so you don't sit on your hands when you don't see things moving. You actually cultivate and you nurture it even further because it's like, okay, I know that I have to get prepared to pick my harvest soon. Harvest season is going to be coming after the spring, so you have to be prepared for the next couple of seasons that's going to lead to the harvest. And even in the middle of cultivation, there's always a resting period anyway, right? There's always a resting period anyway. And for the plants in the wintertime, that resting period is known as dormancy. This is when the plants, they're conserving their energy and protecting themselves in preparation for the growth season that's to come. So it's like, yeah, you might have those seasons in that that natural flow, that natural rhythm that you're on where things are slow or they seem to be completely stagnant. That doesn't mean that productive energy is not happening. It means that there's a conservation of energy in preparation for that spring forward. It's like that catalyst that's getting ready to really give you that surge of energy to push through that space so that now you see the 3D manifestation, the tangible evidence of that vision. So having a relationship with nature will remind you that there is no such thing as a lack of resources. So you definitely want to get even that thought out of your mind. It's a very vital component when it comes to manifesting. Get the thought out of your mind that you lack resources, because the more you connect with nature, the more that you are reminded that there is no such thing. That is an illusion by the powers that were, by this matrix to make you believe that resources, that currency, that wealth can only come through their fiat. But once you recognize that their fiat holds no weight, it holds no value except for the value that we give it for a period of time in history. It'll have its little moment. It's had its little moment, and its moment is dwindling pretty fast. But recognizing that we will have many different ways of exchanging goods and services, and we will use different forms of currency, but also recognizing that resources are always plentiful. It's all in the energy that you give it and recognizing the source by which it came. Mother Earth will love you back as long as you love her. So get connected, get grounded, stay out of nature, and remind yourself this is so much bigger than what people have, conditioned you to believe, and maybe even what you've conditioned yourself to believe based on your own circumstances of lack and survival mode. It's so much bigger. That's my message for you all. Like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to y'all next time.